Hey guys, it's Mrs. Priestley again. I wanted to share a project with you that some of your parents may have done when they were kids. And we're going to be taking a piece of wire and some wood glue, and we are going to be turning them into little flowers. And then the nice part about this is after they are all dry, it takes about 24 hours, you can add some fingernail polish to them to make them into all sorts of wonderful bright colors. It's a great way to use up old fingernail polish too. So I'm going to take some wire, and you can use wire that you've purchased at a craft store or some of these that I've done. I took some old electrical wire out of some old cords that were going to be thrown away. You just want something that's fairly thin and flexible. So I've got a piece cut right here, and I like to use about 15 inches. I've already cut this. I've already measured it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple inches and I'm going to leave about 2-3 inches for a stem. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a pencil and I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to wrap around the pencil once to make a loop. And then, so that loop doesn't squash or change or turn into a really weird shape, I'm going to keep it around the pencil, and then I'm going to give it a twist. So I'm going to grab both pieces and I'm going to give it a twist. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move over a little bit, and I'm not on the stem side, I'm on the side with all that extra wire. I'm going to wrap around my pencil again. I'm going to hold on to my extra pieces and I'm going to give it a couple of twists. Whee, around we go. Okay, now I like to move those a little closer together for now so that they're not in the way when I do the next one. And I personally like to do 5 petals. You can do 3, you can do 4, you can do 12. It doesn't really matter exactly how many you do. I like to use the pencil to do this though, because they end up being the same shape that way. You can just make a loop in the wire and then move it over and keep making different loops in the wire, but it kind of bugs me when the petals aren't at least close to the same size. Flowers aren't perfect. You're probably going to have 1 or 2 that end up a little bigger or a little smaller. That's totally fine, but I like to keep them at least close. And one of the reasons that I like using about 12 or 15 inches of wire so that I have a little bit extra, because I don't like running out. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Now, if you're not careful, you can twist too hard on your wire, especially if you're using a really thin wire, and it can snap. Okay, which is another reason I like to use a longer piece of wire. So this one, it broke apart, and I did not do that on purpose. That was kind of a happy accident, because now I can move these around a little bit. And instead of a flower, I've got a little clover. That's adorable. I'm going to keep that. So I'm going to come back over here to the one I broke, and I'm going to remember not to twist so hard this time. I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to give it a couple less twists. Maybe that will help fix it. And again, this is one of the reasons I like to use a piece of wire that's slightly longer than what I actually need. That way, if I make any mistakes, it's easy to fix. Yeah, I think I can get one more in there. So I'm going to do one more. And whoop, I got a little far away. And give it a twist. Okay. So this one ended up with 4 petals. That's fine. So from here, you can play with the petals a little bit. What I like to do is you can leave them round like I did on this one, or you can point the petals and bend them a little bit like I did on this one. Okay. So what I'm going to do with this one is I think I'm going to point the petals a little. So I'm going to pinch the end, boop, to change the shape. And it doesn't have to be a realistic flower. It can be any sort of flower that you like. And then I'm going to use the pencil to bend the petals a little so they're not flat like that. when you've got a couple of flowers that you like, you're going to put some glue in these empty spaces. And we're going to do that by dipping them. Now, I tried every glue that I had in my house before I showed you guys this one. And white glue does work. That's this one right here. But it comes out very, very, very thin and delicate when it dries. Wood glue is really the best that I have found. So I just grabbed some wood glue that I had laying around the house. It was this one. And then I took and put some in a little container. And I poured the extra back in the big container so I didn't waste a ton. And then I grabbed the flower by its stem. Now, before I do this, I should mention, you want to have a place where you're going to hang these to dry. They are very drippy. The first couple that I made dripped all over my carpet, which was not cool and not fun to clean up. They do drip. So I suggest having a place where you can hang them over a paper towel or a piece of paper so they can drip and they can dry. So I'm going to go ahead. I've got a place all set up off to the side. I'm going to dip my flower. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to make a glue bubble in those empty spaces. So there it is right there. And I'm going to go ahead and tap off some of the excess glue. Because what I found with some of these is if I left too much glue in there, my little glue bubble that happened would pop because it was just too much glue and it got too heavy and it popped. And then I like to make a little hook in the stem. I can pull that out later so that I can hang it over a little line that I've got set up off to the side. So you can do that with all of your flowers that you've made. And again, I like to have them all made before I get here, before I get to this step. And I'm going to tuck that in there. Glue bubbles. Tap off the extra. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and just wipe some of that extra off. Set that off over in my drying space. Again, you don't want to lay these flat to dry. All the glue will just drip out of it. So I'm going to show you some, again, that I've already done. And these are already dry. The bigger your petals are, the more difficult it is to get the glue to stay. It likes to drip out and the bubble likes to pop. So I've already done a bunch. And I actually did one that was huge. I made a little dragonfly out of it. It does not have to be a flower shape. I will tell you that this giant space right here took me a couple hours to get the glue to stay in a bubble and dry just right. It popped. I can't even count how many times. So the thicker wires do work, but it's not as delicate looking. So just keep that in mind if you are trying to find a piece of wire that you're working on. And I even had one that was coated in plastic. This does work, but the glue doesn't stick to it quite as well. You can see I had one that popped that I didn't notice, so I'll fix that later. So I've got my flowers. Now I'm going to take just some fingernail polish and open that up. And I'm going to paint right on top of that dried glue. And again, I want to have a space where I can hang these so that you don't accidentally get fingernail polish all over a parent's carpet, because that will not end well. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And you can mix your colors. You can do one solid color. You can do a couple of layers. The nice thing is the fingernail polish tends to dry a bit faster than the glue does. The glue took about a full day to dry completely. Okay. And I like doing the underside of the petal too. That way if it's seen from either side. And again, I'm not laying these on the table to dry. I'm putting them on a wire that I've got strung on off to the side to dry. So there you have it. It's a great way to make some little flowers. I like sticking these on windowsills. Putting them in a plant pot is nice that hasn't bloomed yet, so you've got some flowers until that happens. You can twist them around a hair clip. These make really nice little hair accessories when they dry. They're much firmer. I'll probably do another 1 or 2 layers of fingernail polish on this so that it firms up and I'm not worried about it breaking. So Give it a try, folks. I will say this one is an activity that works a bit better with a parent's help, or if you're really confident in your sculptural skills with some wire. Have a great time, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.